You're with the Breaker-Leggers,
and we are in North London at the Hampstead Theatre
to see the play Prism.
So stay tuned to find out how many legs...
Whether it's break a leg
or leg it. Before you go any further,
to make sure you've always got your finger on the theatrical pulse,
for theatre news, reviews and interviews,
hit subscribe now.
Hit subscribe now. So Prism here at the Hampstead Theatre. What do we know about Prism?
Well, it stars Robert Lindsay.
Ooh,
yeah, Robert Lindsay, probably best known for the British sitcom My Family, which ran for years and years and years and years and years and years and years.
Also has a theatre background as well on the West End stage.
He was a stage actor. He actually won a Olivier Award and a Tony Award for the musical Me and My Girl.
Yes, and most recently Dirty Rotten Scoundrels at the Savoy Theatre.
Indeed. It's also got Claire Skinner in the cast. Claire Skinner, again, probably best known for a sitcom.
Outnumbered.
Yes, Outnumbered, massive British sitcom, again, ran for years and years and years and years and years. And also she has stage credits to her name. She did Death Trap in the West End with Simon Russell Beale and Jonathan Groff. She also did Rabbit Hole recently.
Here at the Hampstead?
Here at the Hampstead.
What about the writer?
The writer and director is Terry Johnson. He's got many West End credits, including Mrs. Henderson Presents
just recently.
Yes, and also Dead Funny, which he also wrote, and
on Broadway.
He has a Tony Award for the 2010 revival of La Cage aux Folles, which started off here at the Meniere, little, and then got bigger, and then went over to Broadway, and then he won a Tony.
So, do we know anything about what Prism is about?
Yes, it tells the true life story of the legendary Hollywood cinematographer Jack Cardiff as he retires to write his autobiography. But it soon becomes clear that Jack would rather be living in the past than writing about it.
And they have just on the screen behind us some of his work. Is that the Red Shoes, did you say?
They had the Red Shoes earlier, and this is some of his other work. He was known as the cinematographer that made women look beautiful on screen. He had real flair and is really respected within the trade. Now, it's sort of a biopic of a play, this, but I don't think biopic's the right word, because that's like a bio picture, that's like a film.
Bioplay?
Bio show? Who knows? But it's 2 hours, 10 minutes, including an interval, and that's where we'll catch you next.
We've come to the interval of Prism here at the Hampstead Theatre, which means it is time for the Breaker-Leggers 30-second interval breakdown. Go!
What do you think about it so far?
I really like it. The main character, played by Robert Lindsay, he's such a good actor. Playing a character with dementia, he never quite knows what is real, what isn't. The characters around him, do they indulge his current or his past?
Yeah, it's down to his performance alone. He's totally carrying the piece. It's a historical character, it's a real life person, yet at its heart it's a story about dementia. And seeing that played with such ability is a wonder. Enjoying it so far?
We've come to the end of Prism here at the Hampstead Theatre, so what did you make of that?
I thought it was really kind of beautiful, and it doesn't seem the right word to say about a piece about dementia and about losing a sense of reality, but it was done with such lightness of touch and some beautiful stage techniques and some really lovely transitional moments. I thought it was a really emotional and yet beautiful show. How about you?
It's funny you should say beautiful, because beautiful was something that did strike me towards the end. I thought actually this is quite a beautifully told tale, which in itself is quite a tragic tale at the same time, but done with a real amount of heart. I think it's played brilliantly. I know we mentioned him during the interval.
Yeah, Robert Lindsay as Jack Cardiff.
Robert Lindsay is brilliant. He's subtle. He drives the piece completely. Not overplayed and not underplayed. I think he can probably many actors may fall into a bit of a trap with the character playing dementia, where it's overplayed and too much, but it was just right. It was there, but it wasn't overbearing, and transitioning between the different realms, between reality and memory, a complete transformation of character.
Yeah, absolutely. There were some real surprises in it, in so much as where the story led you and the replaying bits of history, but as if it were now and in the present. And I think totally well observed. The writer has really, Terry Johnson, has, I think it's probably been inspired by the story of Jack Cardiff, but it could almost be an anybody character. It could almost be not a historical person, but anybody suffering with dementia who has had a life. Whether that life be in the arts or it be in the public eye, everyone has lived a story, and struggling to come to terms with the loss of that due to the loss of your memory and the merging of what's happened. In Grey Gardens, it's very hard to draw the line between the past and the present. I felt like that there was a loss, and it was emotional. I grieved for the man.
I mean, I don't know the story of Mr. Cardiff. I don't know really his history, and there are references in there to some of the big films. I feel as if there were members of the audience who were laughing at some of the gags that were geared towards that, and there's moments, I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's moments around some of his popular films. Outside of that, it's still, even if you don't know any of those references,
which we don't,
it was still a very moving, touching play about dementia and those dealing with dementia, and that character, or that type of character with that knowledge and that history in the situation he's going through.
Yeah, it works on a lot of levels, is what I would say. You could go in not knowing anything, or you can go in being the most, golden age of Hollywood theatre buff, and you would gain a lot from it either way.
Although I'd say, if you are thinking of coming, then maybe grab a copy of The African Queen.
Yes,
I think that's
would
quite
help.
prevalent.
Yes.
So The African Queen.
Yeah, absolutely. Barnaby Kay playing the character of Mason, playing Humphrey Bogart, and also playing Miller, Jack Miller, who was it Jack Miller? That was Marilyn Monroe's husband.
Yes.
Great transition, great character actor. There was a big tall order there, because Humphrey Bogart is a very strong character. He was a very recognisable person, and I thought he took that on really well.
Yeah, it's probably worth mentioning at this stage that it's only a cast of 4. Robert Lindsay's character, is it Jack Cardiff? He stays the same character, but the other 3 transition between 2 or 3 different parts, and I thought they all did that extremely well. Yeah,
I liked Rebecca Knight as the character of Lucy, who's the modern day now character. I liked her transitioning into Betty, so Betty Davis, I imagine. Is she in The African Queen? It shows how little we know. Maybe leave us a comment and let us know. But she was great as that. Her Marilyn Monroe for me, but I knew it was the character.
Yeah, I knew it was Marilyn Monroe, and it was distinct and different enough from her other characters to make me think, God, this girl is pretty damn good.
And also Claire Skinner playing Nicola, the wife of Jack Cardiff, but also Catherine Hepburn, and I'm sure was well researched in that role. I'm sure if I knew more Catherine Hepburn, I would think, wow, she's doing a great Catherine Hepburn. But again, we're theatre goers, we're not movie watchers. So I bet you're wondering...
Before we do that, just one quick mention about the set. I thought the set was fantastic. Don't know if you know who the set was.
Tim Shortall was the designer of the set.
Tim Shortall. It's pretty much very simple and yet really clever, going between just a shed, which is a bit of a memory garden, and then going through to almost on location in the middle of African rainforest. So nicely played, nice use of projection. Really nice subtle set.
He's also designed the set for the upcoming Rita, Sue and Bob 2 by Out of Joint, which is going into the Royal Court soon, so maybe you'll see some of his work there.
A bit of a shout out for that.
Yeah. So I bet you're wondering how many legs we are going to give Prism.
For Prism here at the Hampstead Theatre, we are going to give 4 got 4 legs.
Yeah, great. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Maybe it'd have worked on a whole other level if I'd have known some of the references. Maybe it would have been a 5 if I'd have got the humour, because I think a lot of it is relying on your knowledge of Jack Cardiff films. But outside of that, beautifully written, directed with a real lightness of touch, like some fantastic performances. I've had a great night.
Yeah, extremely subtle. It's rare that I get to just kind of let go and stop analysing and just relax into what's going on. And I found myself at points just kind of really easing into it and being pulled along and soothed by the story.
And totally engaged. Packs an emotional punch. I came out of it feeling emotional, feeling touched, feeling grief and feeling moved. And that's what theatre's about.
Well, that's what we thought.
What did you think?
If you get to see it, please let us know.
It's playing here at the Hampstead till the 14th of October. So please leave us a comment, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter.
We're the Break Leggers,
and
we'll catch you again soon. Bye!